Okay, YouTubers, this is Joe from ArtAlienTV. Another quick game of interplanetary ice spy going on here. Back to Mars, back to Gale Crater, and we have this image. This is a stitched together Gigapan by Todd. Credit to Todd for this. A nice big Gigapan, and he's got a couple of other images above and below as well to look at, which is really cool. So you should be able to look at this on your mobile device. Now, I've got the other page here with the raw clips as well, which you can link to down below in the description. And there's a couple of other things I'm going to show you very briefly. But the area we're looking at in this one is the central image, which is stitched together in a long line. And we have the area to look at here, where we have this rock and a group of rocks in the middle. Now, this was brought to my attention by Terry Burnett just the other day. This particular thing here was spotted by Terry back in May. He posted it on Mars X-Files on Facebook, which is a cool group. Almost 25,000 members now, which is really good. I'm one of the admins for this group, so that's cool. And it looks a bit like an animal. Now, it may not be, but it may be. Now, if you're not familiar with this channel, you may not have seen all the other previous evidence that I've shown. I've shown hundreds of similar things before over the last 5 or 6 years. So don't write it off just yet. Keep an open mind, and you'll be surprised what you will find in Gale Crater on Mars and other parts of Mars as well. So credit to Terry for this thing. I'm just going to show you that on the Gigapan, just here. Now, it looks a bit like an animal with an ear just here and a face with an eye. Now, this may be an optical trick. It could well be. A lot of these rocks do look like animals, but some of them, like this one here, seem to have what look like animals on the side of them, like a little, this one here, like a little lizard or something stuck to the side of it. Now, is that fossilized? Could be. The soil in the area is very sticky. It's full of sulfur, and it forms concrete very easily, and it can stick to stuff and then form a very hard, crusty shell, like plaster almost, but kind of like a clay shell. Okay, so there we are. There's lots of things to show here. I've made a little anomaly map. There's that thing, and it does seem to have an ear there, and an eye here, and a face coming down. Unfortunately, we've got this rock here and another one obscuring it, so there's not enough of it to actually see, which is a real shame. But I've been trying to see if I can find it from another angle. But apart from that, there was that thing I just showed you, with what looks like a lizard with legs like this, head there, on the side of this rock. Okay. Now, it may not be, of course, but it looks like one. And there was also this, which I only just spotted. Now, this reminded me of something else I found a while ago. Doesn't look like much, does it? But look at it. We've got a snout and a cranium, a skull going right round. And if you look carefully, you can see teeth there. Now, I can't see any a real eye socket. Maybe this is the eye socket, I don't know. Now, you may think that is just a rock, but let me show you something else that I found a while ago. Here, I'm going to play a little section of this. This is a video I did a while ago. It's called Mars Reptile Dash or Stroke Raptor. Pareidolia, please eat my shorts. Right? I'm just going to play you a section of that, and I think it's the same type of creature. There we are. There's the enhancement. This is the raw clip here. Here's the enhanced clip of the same thing, just been enlarged and color filtered, bit of brightness added, and there we are. We have a large bulbous cranium, a kind of angular eye socket here with a snout sticking out the front, lower jaw here, upper maxilla here, and you've got some kind of jagged little teeth in there. Not very much detail here, but there's enough to determine that this is some kind of skull of a large lizard. Now, this is very large. This is actually probably something like 1 to 2 feet in size. It may be 12 inches, it may be 18. I don't know exactly. Now, on this Gigapan that I showed you a minute ago, if you go to the one above, I'll show you where to look to find that. It's up here. This is angled a bit, so you just zoom straight into the middle, and there he is. That is a skull of a lizard, a reptile, a reptoid, or perhaps a dinosaur. That's what it is. Now, this is very dark, this Gigapan, so we're going to see it very well in here. And it's not really bright enough. When I do them a bit brighter. But let's go back to this. So we have another one here, and it has the same shape, and it has the same angular kind of eye socket here, which kind of comes around like that. And there's an edge of another one there you can just about make out. And you can just about make out a mouth, and it's the same shape. And this is literally only meters away from that other one. So could this be the same species? I think it could. There we are. So I'll take clips of these things, put them in at the end in a minute as well, so you can look at these properly. There's lots of other things here. That lizard thing, I've got a clip of that. Let me show you the enhanced clip I've done. I'm not going to show you everything I've got here today because we'd be here too long. I'm just going to quickly gloss over some of the things I've found in this area. And some of them are really odd and quite amazing, I think, including this thing, which looks very much like a monkey, a petrified monkey skull, still with some lip detail here. Let's make that a bit bigger. If you go too big with these, they actually don't look so good. There we are. Let's make that a bit bigger like that. There, that's better. I don't want to go full screen with it because it doesn't look quite right when you go full screen. It's a low res camera, and the camera's not focused very well on these things. It's kind of in a general focus, so everything's slightly off. But there we are. It's got two eyes. It's got not much of a nose surviving there, but the remains of a nose, upper lip, lower lip, and you can just about make out some teeth. And all that is in the raw image. You can see it quite clearly. That looks like a monkey. This is only about 3 inches across. It's not very big. I've found dozens of what look like monkey remains in the area, apes and monkeys and similar things. Now, of course, they may not have breathed oxygen like the ones down here do. We don't know, but Mars did have an oxygen atmosphere at one point. It's disputed about how long ago that was. I actually think it was a matter of only a few thousand years ago. It may have been much more recently. It may have only been 1941 when it was hit by something, either a nuclear blast or some kind of massive meteorite hit the planet. This was seen from Earth by Dr. Clyde Tombaugh, not Dr. John Brandenburg, as some people think. Brandenburg's the guy who's written the book about it, about there being two nuclear explosions on Mars. Okay, but Tombaugh was the guy that actually saw it through his telescope back in 1941 and reported this to the American military. There was a catastrophe on Mars and it destroyed everything. You know, we don't really know when, so I'm just going to show you what I found, and we can work out probably that it was more recent, because these things simply wouldn't exist like they do to see now if they were that old. They must be newer. There was this weird thing, don't know what it is. It's like a weird thing with a handle sticking out, like a knife or something, or blade, almost like a machete that's kind of rusted and encrusted. I don't know. It's very odd. It's got a straight bit here as well. It's some kind of mechanical thing. If you follow my cursor here, pointer, there's a straight object embedded in it just there, and you've got a handle sticking out here, which is kind of joined to it. Don't know what that is. I'll put a clip of that in a minute. You can have a closer look. So there was that. There was this thing, which is the triangular rock that looks a bit like a pyramid. This is quite small. This is probably only about 4 or 5 inches high. So it's not an actual pyramid, but it looks like some kind of building block, or maybe part of a grave marker or something that's partially buried, maybe just the top part. I have found others. Some of them are semicircular with writing or emblems on them, carved into them. So that was interesting. So I'm not going to take too long looking at these things, because basically there is that what looks like a lizard or something fossilized and encrusted to the side of this rock. Now, if the atmosphere was destroyed very quickly on Mars, which it may well have been, a a lot of animals would have been blast frozen and just stayed right where they were when they died, and probably didn't even move, a lot of them, and would eventually just become fossilized. Because of the lack of moisture, they would become mummified, then fossilize eventually, get covered in dust, and the sticky Mars soil that sticks to everything like glue then dries out and forms a kind of hardened concretion on these things. That's what happens. So there was that. That was weird. That actually looks like an actual lizard with the head at the top, an arm here, a knee, a foot, and a possible tail at the back. It's very odd. It may not be, of course. It may be something else. So if you think you see something else here and that I'm not seeing, leave a comment below. That's how we get to the truth. That's how we roll on this channel. There was this thing. I don't know what this is. I don't think it's anything significant, but there seems to be an eye here, like an eye with a nose and a sort of a mouth and sort of a head, but it's a bit too vague really. Don't really know about that. I'll put a clip of that in a minute. So that was about it really. What I'll do is I'll put all the clips in for you to have a look at in a second. There's this little weird thing which might be a skull or something. It's tiny. This is only a few inches across, but it's very bright like bone. So some of these things are actually skulls and are bone coloured, but many of them aren't. There's also this large rock here, which is kind of balancing on a couple of rocks below, just sticking out of the ground. And it doesn't look much, but when you enhance it, it's got what looks like characters or something on the side of it here, like a number 5 and a J and another character there, and some other weird kind of things going on. I'll darken that up a bit for you to try and drag some of that out. So there are lots of weird things to find here, and I'm sure that many of you will find lots of other things here. They're not all things like dinosaurs. A lot of these things may be carvings. There are burial mounds in this area, and many of these things are heavily eroded and broken into little pieces and are unrecognisable, but some of them are still relatively intact enough for us to actually work out what they might be. Now, I don't claim to be right 100% of the time. No one could possibly do that. I'm just suggesting what they might be. If it says dinosaur in the title, it usually means it may be something similar, but that's my opinion. It's not a crime to speculate, although it seems some people think it is. So there we are. I'm not going to go on too long. I'll put a link to this playlist up here, which is it's called Mars, Planet of the Apes, Primates, ArtAlienTV. There's a whole bunch of what look like apes and monkey remains here, and even carved statues of what looks like Hanuman, which is the monkey god from the Hindu religion. Very similar. So check that out. That's called Row of Statues Part 1, Hanuman and Ancient Temple. Check that out, because I actually think that this whole area was full of them. And of course there was this thing which was spotted by the Spirit rover years ago. I don't know who spotted this. I did a video on that recently, so that's in the playlist. So I'll link to that. You can check out all these different examples of what seem to be apes or similar creatures. I'm not saying all of them are apes. I think some of them are, that some of them may be something else that we don't even know of. But in order to work out what they are, we need to compare them to the other things we have found, to do comparative analysis. And that's what this channel is about. So thank you very much for watching. Thanks to those that have donated via my PayPal address. Thank you very much for your donations. If you wish to do that, there is a link below in the description. So thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you soon.